What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, everybody? I'm over here doing a video on about breeding bearded dragons and their setups, and a lot of people are asking me a lot of questions and asking if I could do a video about it. So I'm gonna get straight to the point, keep it as simple as possible and the video as short as possible, so I don't have you guys here watching the video for hours on end. So I'm gonna keep it simple. Breeding a bearded dragon is not as simple as everybody makes it seem. Number one, you have to know about genetics, because breeding certain bearded dragons, such as trans with trans or visuals with visuals, will give you weaker baby bearded dragons, which in the likelihood would not survive as easily or thrive as easily as bearded dragons that are not breeded within these genetics. Not saying that it's impossible. It's definitely possible, but it's highly not recommended. Another thing about breeding bearded dragons, they do give out a lot of babies, and they could give birth to about 30 per clutch and have at least 2 or 3 clutches for one bearded dragon. My female, which is over here, Bentley, she gave me about 40 babies and about 20 each clutch. And like I said, it's not easy. It's a lot of money, very expensive, and you definitely got to know what you're doing when it comes to this. You have to buy yourself a whole setup. You have to get yourself incubators. You have to have buyers. It is not easy, and like I said, just cost efficiency when it comes to feeding the babies, it's very expensive. So I highly recommend, if you're gonna do breeding of any sorts, do your research, do a lot of homework on it, because it could get very costly trying to breed these beardies. And the babies do eat a lot, and they tend to love to eat more insects over veggies when they're smaller. And they gotta eat at least 2 or 3 times a day. So you gotta make sure you definitely know what you're doing, and you gotta be 100% into this in order to get it. Because like I said, cleaning them, feeding them, making sure there's space for all of them, so there's no nips on the tails or toes. It's very just a lot of work. Like I said, me by myself, I wouldn't be able to do it. I shared this business with my wife, and she helps me out a lot, and without her, I wouldn't be doing half the things that I'm doing right now. And you definitely, like I said, gonna need the space. You're gonna need the space. Once again, I emphasize that you're gonna need the space. As you can see, this is just a small setup right here of everything, a few of them. And as you can see, you gotta have the males individually housed. They cannot have 2 males, because then they'll fight, and then you'll have casualties or maybe missing limbs due to their fighting for territory and bragging rights over the females. And as you can see, I always keep the milk containers covered to the babies or anybody else, due to the fact that it could cause stress on the babies, and the babies always need to be housed separately. You can never put the babies with the parents, because the babies will get eaten by the mother or father. So never house the babies with the parents. As soon as they're about to give birth and you feel that the mother's grab it, get her to a bin so she could dig. Have her dig. It'll take her a few hours, maybe a day or 2 before she actually lays. Get them babies out, incubate them, have them in the incubator for about 60 to 90 days, depending on the temps. And ideal temperature is about 80 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius, I don't know what's the transition to that, but also have a humidity level at I think it's about 30 to 40% humidity level, so that the eggs don't dry up. Alright, now to get to the point, my best recommendation for people is always do it on a budget. Because like I said, it's gonna be very costly, and the best way to do it is not to get enclosed glass enclosures for each and every baby. It's gonna come up very expensive. Just a simple glass enclosure could cost you about $100 and change in any pet store. You could go to Craigslist or stuff like that to get it for a lot cheaper. But like I said, the best way to do is build your own rack, have them in tubs. Everything that you see here, I got it on Home Depot. The rack was a little expensive, but the rack has multi-purpose. As you can see, I put one tank at the bottom. But best way to do it is buy this rack. This rack is heavy duty. As you can see, I stack my Dubia Colony on top, which they get the heat, which rises up and it warms them up just enough so they could thrive. On the top, I have a nice 48-inch to go from one end to the next end perfectly, and hits the bins very good. UVB. The UVBs, like I say, you could get them smaller, but I like the 48 because it covers this specific shelf perfectly straight across, as you can see. And I get the regular fixtures right here from Home Depot, so they go for about $3 each. And you do it, I did it with the bins. The bins go for about $4 to $5 each compared to what you would spend on a damn glass container. It's a lot cheaper. And as you can see, you can house, depending on the size, about 4 beardies in each bin. Some of them are 2 because they're a lot bigger and they need the space. But like I said, so with this fixture ran me about, I'll say, about $9. So I got 1 and 2 for each shelf. $9, which is very cheap compared to if you was to get a regular fixture for the UVB online or in a pet store, which will run you about $40 to $50. So 9 compared to $50, you do the math, you tell me which one is better. So I suggest you could get your stuff at Home Depot. I bought little clips here to hang them off, as you can see, and I clipped them all in the back. How to get a few extension cords just to run them across, because there's a lot of things being plugged. You're gonna need multiple extension cords for all this light fixture. And like I said, another thing that I didn't mention is that your electricity bill is definitely gonna go skyrocket. Like I said, these lights are on about 12 hours a day, and if you could afford it with your light bill, then go right ahead. You could go all for it. The bulbs that I have in them, nothing special. They are, if I could get it, give me 1 second. You could get them in a box. They Philips Duramax 65 watt, and these guys are heavy duty. They throw out enough heat just to keep them good, but you got to keep it at a certain distance, because if you go any higher than the way I have it, it starts to get a little, they won't receive the heat as well. And also I got my air conditioner not too far from the enclosure, so temps are perfect, and just I got the space just enough so that they're happy and they're good enough. And I know that they're receiving the heat good because they tend to open their mouth to ventilate the heat. But like I said, this metal shelf ran me about $150, and you can see how many bins I store in there. 6. If I wanted to get technical, it could have been 9 with the bottom shelves. And like I said, with a clutch of 30 or 40, you put 5 in each one, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You could do a nice shelf and fit a nice clutch. And that's only if you're doing one dragon. Now if you're like me and we're doing multiple dragons, you're obviously gonna need a bigger, more space and a bigger enclosures just for that. And you know, it's gonna cost you a lot more money. Overall, I say I spent about $300 to $350 for everything, with the setup, with the extension cords, with the plastic zip ties. The bulbs are gonna be the UVB bulbs are always gonna be expensive because there's no other way to get them but through your local pet store, or like I did, I ordered them from Amazon, which I got decent prices. Yeah, so like I said, about $350 for the whole setup. Now, as you can see with this setup, it's simple, and it got a mercury vapor bulb, which does both jobs for one bulb, which gives you the UVB and the heat for one. And I have it a lot higher than I have it with these guys, for the simple fact that the mercury vapor bulbs are a lot more intense when it comes to heat, so you got to give it the space. Bearded dragons do not really feel the heat. That's why they all usually basket, their heads are usually held up high. It's usually the bodies that feel the heat, not the heads. You don't want to burn them, so always keep it at a decent distance. I say about 12 inches away from the basking area would be best. But very simple fixture. That fixture alone cost me about 30 bucks, compared to something that does absolutely the same thing, maybe not as pretty and as good looking as the other one, but cost me a fraction of the price, which I say you cannot go wrong. And if you're doing something that's gonna be very expensive, you gotta be cost efficient and think about the best way that you can save every penny that you can. Like I said, this is something that you have to be very committed on. It's not an easy thing to do. It's easy to get the babies, but it's hard to maintain them, and it's very difficult to sell them. This is something that you have to be vigilant on. You have to be committed. You have to promote yourself. You have to throw yourself out there and try to get these babies sold. And once again, I'm the type of guy that just don't like to sell babies to anybody. I do my research on a person, make sure that they're good breeders. I mean, not breeders. They're good pet owners, and they know what they're doing, and they're knowledgeable. And I always give them my phone number or my contact number, just in case if they need any more information, they could easily contact me for any type of info that I could give them and help them out with. So once again, guys, in conclusion, I would say definitely do your homework. Money is definitely going to be spent. Just getting started as a bearded dragon owner, you're going to lose a lot more money than what you're gaining. Don't go up with high hopes thinking you're going to become a millionaire. It's going to be a very slow process, but it could be done if you're totally committed and 100% into this. I think anybody could do it. Like I said, you got to invest money into it. In order to make money, you got to spend money. So be 100% into this hobby. Do not give up, and make sure you got the money to feed all these babies, and make sure. And also another thing I didn't mention, the cost for shipping is going to be pricey also. You're going to have to buy yourself boxes. You're going to have to buy yourself shipping supplies. That's also going to be costing. I mean, you're gonna charge your customers shipping, but you're not gonna really charge them for the boxes and stuff, because then it's gonna come up really pricey, and the customers might not want to do that. So you just remember everything that goes along with breeding bearded dragons. Do your homework on breeding certain morphs, certain genetics that are able to breed with one another. Also think about housing the babies, incubators for the eggs, a separate tank for the mother and father, so she could at least rejuvenate and get her calcium back up, because she's going to be very weak from the whole laying the egg process. And once again, like I said, these bearded dragons could lay clutches of up to 40 dragons per clutch, or maybe 20 per clutch minimum. So Once again, I would like to thank everybody for watching. Thank you, subscribers. If you who not subscribed to Saz Dragons, click on the button, subscribe, click on the bell to get notifications. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and we'll be here to help you with any bearded dragon info available. Thank you, and hope you tune in to us once again.